Chapter 1. The Quiet Shift. It started small, like a creak in the floorboards you hear at night, but never during the day. Easy to ignore, easy to explain away. Willow had always been warm, affectionate, the kind of woman who would grab my arm when she laughed at my bad jokes, who'd slip a note into my lunchbox when I worked long shifts. Stay safe. I love you. Can't wait to curl up with you tonight. She wasn't perfect, but hell, neither was I. We were a team. Or at least, I thought we were. But over the past few months, something changed. Not all at once, just gradually. A new kind of silence started filling the house. Not the comforting, end-of-day quiet that comes with routine. This one had weight. It lingered between our words, thickening the air. She'd smile less, kiss me quicker. Conversations that used to run into the early morning now felt like summaries. And the phone. God, the phone. At first, I chalked it up to stress. Willow had taken on more responsibilities at work, marketing at some firm downtown, and she often came home drained. I understood. I know what that's like. I've been doing 12-hour shifts on the warehouse floor for years. But her energy changed in ways that didn't feel like burnout. She started guarding her phone like it was a limb. Always face down, always with her, even during a 2-minute trip to the bathroom. One night, I reached across the couch for the remote and barely grazed her phone. She snatched it up like I was about to launch nuclear codes. "Oh my God, don't just grab stuff," she snapped, eyes wide, the way someone looks when they're cornered. "I wasn't grabbing it," I said, a little stunned. "Just going for the remote." She laughed then, too quickly. "Sorry. Long day. My nerves are fried." I nodded slowly, trying not to let it fester. But that night, when she rolled over in bed with her back to me, again, I stared at the ceiling for hours, listening to the faint vibration of her phone under her pillow. Fridays used to be our night. We'd order Thai, pour a couple drinks, and play cards until one of us passed out. It wasn't glamorous, but it was ours. Simple, honest. Now, she dressed up for girls' night every other Friday. Makeup heavier, clothes tighter, heels she hadn't worn in years. Once, I watched her walk out the door in a black dress I didn't even know she owned. "Damn," I said, half laughing. "You trying to seduce the girls, or what?" She smirked, adjusting an earring. "We're just grabbing drinks. No big deal." I watched her go, a strange emptiness crawling into my chest. She didn't ask me to join, didn't offer to bring me back something. No, love you. As the door clicked shut behind her. She used to check in throughout the night. Having fun, but miss you, kind of texts. Now, hours passed without a single buzz. I stayed up that night, TV flickering quietly in the dark. At 2:08 a.m., I heard her heels click against the driveway. She tiptoed in like a teenager breaking curfew. Phone clutched her chest. I pretended to be asleep on the couch. She paused for a moment, probably thinking about waking me, then walked straight to the bedroom. The next morning, I tried to talk. "Hey," I said over coffee, "you get home late." She blinked, still wiping sleep from her eyes. "Not that late. Past 2, she sipped her coffee and shrugged. "Yeah, we lost track of time." Tara ordered another round. We were talking about her breakup, and she stopped, noticing my expression. "What?" "Nothing," I said, setting my mug down. "Just, we haven't had a night together in a while." She leaned back, lips tight. "Charles, I'm not cheating on you, if that's what you're thinking." That caught me off guard. I hadn't said anything about cheating. Not once. "I didn't say that," I replied quietly. "Well, you didn't have to," she muttered, standing and disappearing into the bathroom. I tried to shake it off. I really did. Maybe I was being paranoid. Guys at work joked about this stuff all the time. Once she starts guarding that phone like a dragon with gold, you're screwed. I used to laugh along, tell them not every woman was like that. Not my Willow. We were solid. I started watching myself more. Watching her too. But mostly, I watched the silence grow. She stopped initiating touch. A hand that used to find mine under the dinner table now stayed folded in her lap. Our routine split. She'd shower late at night. Lock the door. She never used to do that. When I knocked to grab my toothbrush, she'd shout, "Just a second," and come out 10 minutes later in full pajamas, her phone mysteriously already on the nightstand. One Saturday, I suggested we go to the lake, just the two of us. We used to love that place. Blanket, some takeout, a 6-pack. She hesitated. This weekend's bad. I promised the girls we'd do a spa day. Next weekend. She bit her lip. Maybe. We'll see. She didn't even look up from her phone when she said it. I started getting home earlier from work on purpose, just to see if she'd notice. She didn't. Half the time, I'd walk in and she'd be laughing at something on her phone, then go quiet the moment she saw me. One day I asked, "What's so funny?" On your phone. You were cracking up just now." "Oh, nothing. Just a meme Terrace sent me. Must have been a good one." She nodded absently, locking the screen and setting it face down again. One evening, I came home to find the living room lights off, music playing softly from the kitchen. For a moment, I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe she's trying. I walked in with a hopeful smile, but it wasn't for me. Willow was on the phone, laughing, whispering in her AirPods. She didn't hear me at first. Her voice was light, flirtatious. "I know, right? He still doesn't suspect a thing," she said and giggled. My chest tightened. Yeah, it was insane. I couldn't walk straight for 2 days. She froze when she saw me standing there. Her body went rigid. "I'll call you back," she muttered quickly, tapping her ear and yanking the AirPod out. "Hey," I said, voice steady but low. "Who were you talking to?" She forced a smile. "Tara. You know how she is. Just girl talk." I said nothing, just stared at her for a long moment. She walked past me, barely brushing my arm. "Don't start." I didn't say anything. "You didn't have to." I started sleeping with a pit in my stomach. It didn't matter how hard I worked during the day, how tired I was. I'd lay there in the dark beside a woman I no longer recognized, wondering where she really went when she left, wondering who made her laugh now, wondering if I'd already lost her and just hadn't accepted it yet. But I kept quiet. I kept steady. I kept hoping I was wrong, because hope's a hell of a drug when you're scared of the truth. Maybe I was just tired. Maybe she was too. Or maybe I didn't want to see what was right in front of me. Chapter 2. The Best Friend Argument. It was a Wednesday night. Nothing special. Just one of those midweek evenings when the house sat quiet, and the hum of the fridge seemed louder than usual. I had just gotten out of the shower, still drying my hair, when I heard Willow's laugh from the living room, sharp, high-pitched, different. When I stepped out, she was sprawled across the couch, legs tucked under her, giggling into her phone. Her cheeks were a little flushed, lips curled into a smile she hadn't shown me in weeks. She didn't notice me until I stood right behind her. "Oh," she said, quickly turning the phone face down on her thigh. "Didn't hear you come in. Who you talking to?" I asked, trying to sound casual. Her smile flickered. "Connor. Just catching up." I grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge, the cold plastic crackling in my hand. "You talked to him a lot lately." She shrugged. "He's my best friend, Charles. You know that." "I know. But you don't think it's a little much? I mean, I barely see you laugh like that anymore." Then suddenly Connor calls, and you're glowing. She raised an eyebrow, a trace of annoyance replacing the playfulness in her face. "So, I'm not allowed to be in a good mood now?" "That's not what I said." "You sure? Because it sounded a lot like you're starting to get jealous." I walked over, sat down on the other end of the couch. "I'm not jealous. I'm just asking, do you think there should be some boundaries? I mean, he's a guy, and some of the stuff I've seen him post, it's flirty, Willow." She scoffed. "Oh my God, seriously?" "Seriously, yeah. Remember that comment he left on your bikini photo last month?" "Damn, Allie, don't tempt me like that. You think that's respectful to me?" She rolled her eyes and stood up, pacing now. "It's just a joke. That's how we are. You've known him for years, Charles. He's harmless." "Maybe he is," I said, voice tighter now. "But I'm your husband. I'm supposed to be the one getting those smiles. Not him." She crossed her arms, her body coiled with frustration. "So what? You want me to cut off my best friend because your ego can't handle it?" I blinked, stunned by how quickly she twisted it. "No," I said firmly. "I'm asking you to respect the relationship we're in. If it was reversed, if I had a female friend who made comments like that, who called me at night to talk and laugh, how would you feel?" "I wouldn't care," she shot back. "Bullshit." She flinched like I'd slapped her. "You'd care," I continued, "because it's not about the friendship. It's about boundaries. You used to believe in those." "What happened?" "What happened," she spat, "is you started acting like a possessive, insecure child. Do you hear yourself right now?" I stood slowly, trying to keep my voice even. I hear myself just fine. I'm asking you to stop feeding something that looks a whole lot like emotional cheating. Her mouth fell open. That's insane. You think I'm cheating? I think if you keep hiding behind the label of best friend, you don't have to face what's really happening. She stormed past me, her footsteps loud against the hardwood floor. This is so toxic, Charles. You're projecting your own fears onto me, and you're avoiding a real conversation by calling it toxic, I replied, turning to face her. I'm not saying you can't have friends, but when those friendships cross lines that make your partner uncomfortable and you defend them harder than you defend your marriage, there's a problem. Willow spun around. Her eyes were wild now, hands clenched into fists. If you don't trust me, just say it, she snapped. But don't police who I talk to. Silence dropped between us like a steel door. I stood there for a moment, the weight of her words pressing down on my chest. My throat was dry, and the thoughts I wanted to say jammed up like traffic in my mind. She didn't wait for an answer. She brushed past me again, grabbed her phone from the couch, and stormed off into the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. I stood in the living room for what felt like forever. The house felt colder somehow, emptier, like the walls had shifted. I didn't go into the bedroom that night. I grabbed the extra blanket from the hall closet, dropped onto the couch, and stared at the ceiling fan spinning above me. She didn't come out. She didn't check on me. Didn't even text. And maybe it was just one fight. Maybe we'd both cool down and talk it out the next day like we always did. But something in me, deep and heavy, told me this wasn't like the other arguments. Something had shifted. I lay there, the blanket scratchy against my skin, thinking about how easily she had defended him and how hard she'd fought me just for asking a question. And for the first time in our marriage, I started watching. If you don't trust me, just say it, she snapped. But don't police who I talk to. Chapter 3. The Forgotten Bluetooth. The garage had always been my space, cluttered, dusty, and honest. No masks, no performances, just tools, boxes, and the scent of motor oil and old wood. It was late, maybe just past 10 o'clock p.m. I come home to find Willow already in bed, lights off in the bedroom, her phone charger cord dangling off the nightstand. She must have dozed off while scrolling, as usual. I decided to stay out of the room. I wasn't in the mood to lie beside her in silence. Pretending sleep came easy these days. Instead, I went to the garage. The shelf I'd been meaning to organize for months had finally gotten under my skin. Nails were mixed with screws, drill bits scattered in 2 different bins. I grabbed a cold beer from the mini fridge, popped it open, and let the coolness spread down my throat as I started sorting. The Bluetooth speaker mounted on the far wall clicked on. It always connected automatically to my phone, except tonight, it didn't. A voice filled the garage. Not mine. Not a song. It was Willow's. No, it was insane. I swear to God, Tara, I couldn't walk straight for 2 days after that. It was that big. I froze, beer bottle halfway to my mouth. Like he just dug. I told him I'd never had it like that before. He literally flipped me over and she burst into laughter. Loud, unfiltered, comfortable. I didn't move. I couldn't. My heart thudded once. Then again. Harder. Tara's voice came through, slightly muffled but clear enough. Oh my God, Willow. Wait, you're serious right now? Dead serious, Willow replied. We even recorded it once. Just for us. It was wild. The angles, the sounds, everything. My skin went ice cold. I looked at the speaker like it had grown teeth. Wait, Tara said, half laughing, half shocked. Are you not scared Charles might find it? Like what if he goes through your phone or your cloud or whatever? Willow's voice dropped into that smug, syrupy tone she used when she thought she was untouchable. Please, he still thinks I'm faithful. He's so clueless. And the video? It's stored in a locked folder. He'll never see it. It's for personal use only, he promised. They both started laughing again. Loud. Ugly. I didn't breathe. Didn't blink. I stared at the box of nails in my hand, and one slipped between my fingers, falling onto the cement floor with a soft clink. They kept talking, but my ears were ringing. The world had split open, quiet and slow, like a fault line cracking through everything I thought I knew. I backed up toward the workbench like my legs were moving on their own. My fingers clutched the edge, knuckles white, sweat beading on my brow despite the cool night air. My wife, the woman I'd built a life with. Laughing about screwing another man, recording it, saving it, and all the while calling me insecure, me controlling, me jealous. My pulse roared in my ears, but I didn't smash the speaker. I didn't run into the house. I listened, because the rest of the truth was unraveling now, bleeding out in real time through my own damn speaker system. Connor's a freak, Tara, Willow said next, almost proudly. Like, I always wondered if we have chemistry, but it's like next level. He knows what to do without even asking. And the way he talks during, oh my God. Tara let out a low whistle. Okay, now I get why you're hooked. He makes me feel alive again, Willow said quietly. Like I'm 22 and nothing else matters. I love the danger, the sneaking around. It makes me feel powerful. Wow, Tara said. And Charles has no idea? Willow snorted. He's too busy organizing nuts and bolts in the garage to notice. It's kind of sad, honestly. I closed my eyes. That line didn't just hurt, it gutted me. Because that garage was the only place I still felt useful. The only place where I could still fix things. Okay, Tara said, half joking. But Willow, seriously, at some point, you're going to have to choose. You can't keep doing this. There was a long pause. Then Willow said, so matter-of-factly it could have been a weather report. I don't want to choose. Why should I? I have the perfect setup. Charles pays the bills, does the chores, leaves me alone, and Connor gives me everything I actually want. I deserve this. Deserve. Like it was her reward. The call must have ended soon after, or maybe she finally realized the audio was streaming to another device. The speaker cut out with a dull thud, leaving the garage hollow and still. But the silence wasn't peaceful. It was suffocating. I set the beer bottle down carefully, like any sudden movement would shatter what was left of my sanity. She cheated, not just once, not in some drunken mistake. She planned it, maintained it, savored it, recorded it, and I'd been too loyal, too trusting to see it. I looked around the garage at all the things I'd built with my hands. The shelves, the hooks on the walls, the old workbench I'd inherited from my dad and restored. And then I thought of all the things I'd built in that house, every damn thing except the woman in it. And now even that was gone. But something else settled in me then. Not rage, not sorrow, something colder, a calm, steely presence that filled the void she'd carved into me. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I picked up the nail that had fallen, placed it back in a box, and began quietly sweeping the scattered dust on the floor. My mind was already turning, not toward forgiveness, not even revenge, at least not yet, just clarity. She thought I was blind. She thought I was dumb. She thought I was weak. But the thing about men like me, men who keep quiet, who endure, who fix what others break, is that when we do break, we don't just fall apart. We sharpen, we calculate, and eventually we rebuild, just not with the same people. I stood frozen, my hands trembling over a box of nails. Her voice echoed in my ears like a gunshot, and something in me broke, but not the way she thought it would. Chapter 4. The Reckoning Plan. I didn't sleep that night. After the Bluetooth incident in the garage, I sat at the edge of the bed for hours, just staring into the dark like a man who had misplaced his entire life. Willow lay beside me, curled up peacefully, phone nestled beneath her pillow, completely unaware that I had heard every filthy word she'd said. The next morning, I didn't say a thing. She greeted me with her usual half-hearted smile and a quick kiss on the cheek before heading off to work. Her lipstick didn't even touch my skin, just a breeze of habit. I waited until her car pulled out of the driveway and disappeared down the street before I got up. Today wasn't going to be a normal day. I went to the office. Not hers, mine. The one I kept upstairs. Most people wouldn't expect a man like me, a warehouse supervisor with calloused hands and dirt under his nails, to know a thing or two about digital forensics. But I wasn't always this guy. Before I took over the family business, I used to tinker. I had built my own PC from scratch, encrypted hard drives, jailbroke phones. It wasn't just a hobby. It was an escape, one I hadn't touched in years. But now I had a reason to revisit that old part of myself. I started with her phone. Not physically, she never let it out of her sight. But I knew her iCloud account. I helped her set it up. She used the same damn password for everything. Connor, 12. I should have noticed the irony earlier. It didn't take long to get in. Once I was inside the cloud backup, I navigated to her hidden files. There was, tucked in a folder labeled Fitness Progress, of all things, one video. I stared at the file name. 1amhotel.mp4. Click. My blood ran cold. There they were. My wife. And him. Connor. Her best friend. The same jackass she told me I was insecure about. In the video, he wasn't acting like a friend. He was naked. On top of her. Inside her. And she was loving every second. Laughing. Moaning. Screaming his name like a prayer. My stomach turned. I wanted to look away, but I didn't. I forced myself to watch the entire thing. Every moment. Every filthy second of my wife betraying me in a hotel bed. I needed to burn into my memory. It wasn't about masochism. It was about understanding the full scale of what she'd done. This wasn't some sloppy one-night stand. This was planned, recorded, treasured, and she thought I'd never find it. When the video ended, I sat in silence for a long time. Not angry, not even sad, just numb. This was the woman I built a home with. The woman I gave my loyalty to, my time, my love. And she gave her body to someone else and smiled about it. But that was fine. She wanted to laugh behind my back. I make sure the whole world laughed at her face. I got to work. First, I downloaded the video and encrypted it. No traceable data, no metadata. I scrubbed it clean. Then I created a throwaway email, unlinked from my IP, my devices, anything she could trace. I set up a VPN, ran it through 2 proxy servers, and connected to the private employee directory of her company, Granvia Media Group. She'd left her laptop open one night weeks ago, and I'd seen the URL saved in her bookmarks. Didn't think much of it then. Now it was gold. The company used an internal messaging system, a Slack-style platform where employees could share updates, announcements, team files. I uploaded the video under the name connortape.mp4. In the message box, I typed, "Your senior brand strategist enjoys very creative client relations. Thought HR should see what she's been up to outside the office." No signature, no emotion, just truth. Then, for good measure, I downloaded the staff directory and emailed the same video link to 20 of her coworkers, including her boss, her team lead, and the HR rep she once bragged about being close to. Message subject line, "What Willow's been hiding." I paused before hitting send. Not because I doubted what I was doing, but because I wanted to remember the feeling, the precise moment I took back my power. Then with one click, I sent it all into the world. I stood, stretched my back, and looked around her office. Her framed photos still lined the shelves, smiling selfies, fake laughs, polished hair. I took one down, stared at it. In the photo, she was leaning against me, cheek against my shoulder. I remembered that day. It was at a lake picnic. She told me she loved me right before the photo was taken. Liar. I smashed the frame against the corner of the desk. Glass splintered across the floor. Felt good. Back downstairs, I packed a duffel bag with just enough for a week, some clothes, my tools, the cash I kept stashed in the drawer for emergencies. I didn't know where I'd go yet, but it didn't matter. I wasn't staying here. Not one more night in this house full of her lies. I found a notepad by the kitchen phone and tore off a sheet. Wrote in thick black ink, "Block him now. Too late." I placed it on the dining table, right where she always dropped her purse. Let her come home to that. Before I left, I walked through the house one more time. The living room where we used to binge our favorite shows. The kitchen where I'd made her breakfast every Sunday. The bathroom mirror where I kissed her shoulder every morning as she did her makeup. It all felt like a set now. A stage, built for a play I hadn't been cast in. But I wasn't sad anymore. Not really. There was clarity now. Willow had mocked my trust, mocked my stability, mocked the kind of man who builds instead of breaks. So I broke something too, her pride. Let her explain that video to HR. Let Connor explain it to his wife, his kids. Let her feel exposed, judged, ridiculed, just like she did to me. And I didn't even have to raise my voice. As I closed the front door behind me, I looked back one last time. Not at the woman I'd married, but the battlefield I just walked off of, with my head held high. Because some betrayals don't need screaming. They just need precision. She thought I wouldn't find out. She thought I'd never see the video. She thought wrong. You mock my trust, so I'll bury your pride. Chapter 5. Public Fallout. Willow's morning started with light stretching and the familiar buzz of her iPhone vibrating under the pillow. Still half asleep, she reached for it with one hand, yawning in her other palm. She squinted at the screen. 47 unread messages at first. She assumed it was a glitch. She refreshed. The number jumped. 73 unread messages. 18 missed calls. 12 new voicemails. Then the notifications began exploding in real time. Ping after ping, one after the other. Ashley, work. You're seriously messed up. Jason, marketing lead. Wow. Didn't expect to see that this morning. Sabrina, HR. We need to talk. Urgently. Call me now. Unknown number. You're disgusting. Hope your husband sees this. Her eyes darted across the screen, heartbeat accelerating. Then a link popped up. An anonymous email. No subject. Just a file. She tapped it, and her entire world collapsed. There it was. The video. Her and Connor. At that cheap motel outside the city. The night they said, just once more, just for fun. Her knees buckled. No, 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 no. She whispered, holding her mouth as if she could stuff the panic back inside her. She slammed the phone down on the bed, heart galloping in her chest. But curiosity or fear drew her back in. She opened her inbox. More links, more reactions, screenshots, memes. Someone had sent it to her entire office. Not just co-workers, the executive team. She opened Slack. A public thread had already been created. WT Felissa messages were flooding in. Some mocking, some disgusted, one or two sympathetic, but even those were coded in disbelief. She tried to breathe, but it felt like she was drowning in her own lungs. Willow, she screamed at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, gripping the sink. Think, just think, Connor. She had to call Connor. She fumbled with the phone, but it buzzed before she could even dial. Connor, 3 new texts. What the hell did you do? My wife saw it. My kids saw it. You said it was private, Willow. She backed into the wall, sliding down it. No, she muttered, shaking her head. This isn't happening. She had trusted that man. Trusted he'd never share the video. Trusted Charles wouldn't know. Then it hit her. Charles. She ran to the kitchen barefoot, eyes wild, scanning for him. But he wasn't there. His coffee mug was gone. The truck keys were gone. The note she expected wasn't anywhere. Just silence. And her own guilt pressing into her like a vice. She grabbed her phone and tried calling him. Voicemail. She texted. Willow, please call me. Willow, I need to talk to you right now. Willow, Charles, please. No reply. She tried calling again and again. Voicemail every time. He was ignoring her. He knew. Her hand shook as she opened her Photos app, heart sinking. The fitness progress folder, the one where the video had been stored, was still there. Empty. No video. No files. Just an error. No files found. He'd found it. He'd uploaded it. Her stomach twisted violently. She ran to the sink and vomited. By the time she showed up at the office, hair thrown into a bun, sunglasses on despite the overcast sky, the damage was already done. People stared, whispered. Some pointed. When the elevator doors opened, everyone inside went silent. She stepped in anyway, kept her head high, despite the fire in her cheeks. Her heels clicked sharply against the floor as she stepped out. She moved quickly toward her desk, trying to avoid eye contact. But they were all watching, mocking. One coworker whispered, "How do you even look someone in the eye after a video like that?" Another snorted, "Her poor husband, man." She logged into her workstation with trembling fingers. Outlook exploded again. Dozens of unread emails. Meeting invites from HR. And worst of all, her boss, Jeff, appeared at her cubicle. "Willow," he said, voice tight. "My office. Now." Jeff's office was quiet. Too quiet. He didn't offer her a seat. He stood by the blinds, arms folded. "I'm not going to ask if it's real," he said flatly. "Because we both know it is." She tried to speak, but he raised a hand. "You put the entire team in jeopardy. Legal is already involved. HR is launching a formal review." "Jeff, I don't want to hear it," he snapped. "You used your company device to store private content. That video came from your cloud. You've created a hostile work environment. Tears brimmed in her eyes. It wasn't supposed to leave this room? Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't, he cut in coldly. But it did. And now it's everywhere. You're on administrative leave, pending investigation. Clean out your desk. She blinked. Are you firing me? He didn't answer. She knew the answer anyway. Outside the building, the air was thick and heavy with June humidity. She sat in her car, unable to even start the engine. Her hands were limp in her lap. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was Tara. Tara, what the hell is going on? Tara, did you send your sex tape to your coworkers? Tara, Charles is not answering me. What did you do? Willow didn't reply. What could she say? That her lies had finally exploded in her face? That the man she'd betrayed, mocked, had outplayed her without a single word? She stared at her reflection in the rearview mirror. Her mascara had smudged beneath her sunglasses. Her skin looked pale. Her hair was a mess. But worse than the image was the truth. Because she had destroyed her own life. All for a thrill, a temporary high, a secret she thought would stay buried. She'd burned everything. Her job, her reputation, her marriage. And Charles? He was gone. Back at the warehouse, Charles stood outside the loading dock with a clipboard in hand, sipping coffee from a paper cup. He hadn't checked his phone once all morning. Didn't need to. He knew. He didn't need to see the aftermath to know the building was burning behind him. He could already smell the smoke. A coworker passed by, patting his shoulder. You all right, man? Charles nodded once. Never better. And he meant it. Because sometimes justice doesn't come in courtrooms or dramatic confrontations. Sometimes it comes in silence, in carefully calculated moves, in watching someone unravel under the weight of their own lies. Later that evening, Charles's phone buzzed on the countertop. Tara, what did you do? He stared at it for a moment, then let the screen go dark. Didn't reply. Didn't need to. Because now, they said I was insecure. Now they see who she really was. Chapter 6. Her desperation. It had been 4 days since the video went public. For days since Charles had walked away from everything they built together, leaving nothing but a single handwritten note and an echo of silence behind. For days of chaos. Willow hadn't stopped crying since the first morning. The first 48 hours were filled with panic, endless calls, frantic texts, voicemails filled with sobs and apologies. But Charles didn't respond. Not once. She hadn't eaten, couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face, cold, silent, unreadable. Not yelling, not accusing, just gone. And that scared her more than anything else. On the 5th day, she broke. She drove to Charles's mother's house on the east side of town, where he was staying. She hadn't called ahead. She knew he wouldn't answer. The gravel crunched under her tires as she pulled into the narrow driveway. Her makeup was streaked from crying, her hair unwashed, hands trembling on the wheel. The porch light was on, even though the sun was still up. She sat in the car for a full minute, trying to catch her breath, rehearsing what she'd say. He still loves me. He has to. He was angry, hurt, but he'll come around. He always does. She stepped out of the car and walked to the door, her legs unsteady. She knocked. Once. Then again. The door opened. Charles stood there, his face unreadable, his eyes cold. He didn't look surprised to see her. Just tired. Willow, he said evenly. Her bottom lip quivered. Can I please just talk to you? He didn't say anything. He stepped back and let her in. The house smelled like pine cleaner and old photographs. Familiar. Safe. But nothing about this moment felt safe. She walked into the living room, arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to keep from shattering. Charles sat down on the edge of the recliner, arms crossed, watching her. She stood for a moment, then sank to her knees right in front of him, sobbing. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry, Charles. He didn't move, didn't reach for her. I was stupid, she choked out. I don't even have words for what I did. It didn't mean anything. I swear to God, it didn't mean anything. He raised an eyebrow. It didn't mean anything? No, she begged. It was a mistake. One time, I felt lost, and Connor, he made me feel seen, and I messed up at one time. Charles interrupted, his voice like ice. You lied. For months. You recorded it. You laughed about it. You kept it. She flinched. I wasn't thinking clearly. I don't know, lonely? Maybe I was trying to fill something that I didn't even understand. But you didn't have to ruin me like this. Charles leaned forward slowly. Ruin you? She looked up, eyes swollen. My job is gone. My reputation. Everyone hates me. People have seen things they shouldn't have. Charles, I can't even walk into a grocery store without feeling like someone's judging me. You're worried about being judged? He asked, voice low. You looked me in the eyes every day and lied. You came home to me after him, and you still kissed me, slept in my bed, told me you loved me. That's not just betrayal. That's cruelty. Willow broke into sobs again, grabbing at his jeans like a child pleading for a parent's forgiveness. Please, just tell me what I can do. Anything. I'll do anything, Charles. He stood. Her hands slipped from his knees as he moved toward the window, back turned. Do you know what hurt the most? He asked after a long silence. She shook her head, wiping her tears on her sleeve. It wasn't the sex, he said. It wasn't even the video. It was hearing you say I was too stupid to find out. That I was some blind fool fixing nuts and bolts in the garage while you felt alive with another man. He turned to her. His eyes were dead calm. That's who I was to you. A tool. A wallet. An afterthought. No, she whimpered. You were never that. You were everything to me. I lost myself somewhere. No, Willow, he said. You didn't lose yourself. You chose. Over and over again. She crawled forward, wrapping her arms around his waist, crying into his shirt. I love you, she whispered. Please, please don't leave me like this. He gently pried her arms off him. Don't say you love me, he said. You don't get to say that anymore. She sank to the floor, weeping. Then what happens now? She asked, her voice hollow. Charles walked to the mantel and picked up a manila envelope. He handed it to her. I'm filing for divorce, he said. I'm not here to scream or punish. I'm keeping it clean. No dragging you through court. No taking the house or whatever's left in our accounts. You can have it all if you want. She looked up in horror. Charles, please. Don't do this. We can fix it. We can go to therapy. Please, just don't end us. There is no us, he replied. There hasn't been for a long time. I just didn't see it yet. She pressed her hand against her chest like she was trying to stop her heart from breaking. I can't live without you. Yes, he said. You can. She broke again. Full sobs now. Her makeup was ruined, mascara running in black rivers. Her body trembled as she rocked on the floor, begging. But Charles didn't kneel, didn't comfort her. He watched, and he pitied her. But that was all that was left. When she looked up at him again, her voice barely a whisper, she asked, You really don't love me anymore? He hesitated, then shook his head once. I did. More than you'll ever know. Willow swallowed hard, her throat raw. I'll never forgive myself, she said, voice cracking. That's between you and your mirror, he said quietly. She stood slowly, shoulders hunched. So that's it? You're just done. Charles looked at her, really looked, and said the words that ended it all. You threw away a man who would have bled for you, for someone who filmed it. Chapter 7. The Aftermath. It's strange how quiet the world becomes when the chaos ends. No screaming, no gut-wrenching texts, no racing heartbeat every time your phone buzzes. Just silence and healing. Charles didn't start over with a dramatic flourish or grand gestures. There was no new man speech in front of the mirror, no sudden revenge body or expensive getaway. No, his healing came slow, honest, earned. He moved into a modest apartment on the other side of town, close enough to his mother's place, but far enough from the poisoned streets and memories that clung to his old neighborhood like rot. The first week was the hardest. The space was too quiet. He'd always imagined being alone meant freedom, but loneliness, real loneliness, came with echoes. Echoes of her laughter in the hallway, her perfume in the bedsheets, the dull ache of remembering which cabinet she liked her wine glasses in. But he didn't avoid the pain. He faced it, sat with it, let it cut, because pain, he realized, was a scalpel, and healing was never clean. Charles didn't go back to work immediately. He used his PTO to reset, started seeing a therapist, a soft-voiced woman named Elaine with sharp glasses and a calm gaze that never judged, only listened. You don't strike me as the type of man who likes to talk about feelings, she said in their first session. He smirked. You're not wrong. But you're here. Yeah, he admitted, leaning forward. Because I've been angry for so long, I forgot what peace feels like. And over time, those sessions helped. They didn't fix him, but they gave him room to breathe, to think, to untangle the mess Willow left behind. I always thought loyalty was enough, he said once, hands gripping the arms of the chair. That if I just stayed steady, stayed faithful, things would hold. Elaine nodded. But relationships aren't built on sacrifice alone. No, Charles said. They're built on mutual sacrifice. And I was the only one bleeding. He started reaching out to old friends he'd lost touch with, friends Willow didn't like, friends she had labeled immature or bad influences. Turned out they were just loyal, real. One weekend, they went fishing, sat on a cold riverbank, beers in hand, boots in the mud. You okay? Jared asked, casting his line. Charles watched the water. Getting there. No shame in being wrecked, man. I'm not wrecked, Charles replied, watching the current. I'm rebuilding. Meanwhile, the fallout from the video continued to decimate Willow's life. She was officially fired 2 weeks after the tape went public. HR cited misconduct unbecoming of a senior representative, and no one argued. Granvia Media cut all ties. Even her professional references were pulled. Jobless, reputation torched, she turned to the only family she had. But her sister Tara, once her confidant, shut the door on her too. You lied to me, Tara had told her over the phone, voice like cold glass. You laughed about what you did. I don't want that energy near me or my family. Even Connor, her precious affair partner, was now a ghost. His wife filed for divorce 2 days after receiving the anonymous video link. She took the kids, the house, and posted a scathing Facebook post that went semi-viral in their town. To the man who broke his vows and the woman who helped him, enjoy each other. You'll need the company because no decent soul will stand by you again. Connor was fired from his IT job soon after. Company policy didn't allow employees to engage in scandalous activity that could harm the brand. Rumor had it he moved to another state. Alone. Willow. She stayed. But the town didn't forget. Charles heard bits and pieces. He didn't seek them out. But the universe has a funny way of making sure we know what we need to. He heard she started working part-time at a small grocery store on the edge of town. He never went in, never made eye contact on the street. He didn't need to. She was her own punishment now. One Saturday morning, almost 4 months after the divorce papers were signed, Charles signed up for a volunteer day through a local veterans group. Just cleaning up a community park. Nothing fancy. He didn't expect much. He just wanted to feel useful again. That's where he met her. Her name was Lauren. She had kind eyes, a quiet smile, and a pair of worn gloves already covered in soil when she shook his hand. First time volunteering here, she asked as they dug through a bed of overgrown weeds. He nodded. Figured it was time to get my hands dirty for a good reason. She laughed. It was soft, uncomplicated. They spent most of the day working side by side, not talking much, just moving in sync. It wasn't flirty. It wasn't romantic. It was real. At the end of the event, she offered him a bottle of water and a half smile. Coming back next Saturday? Maybe, he said. Depends how sore I am tomorrow. She smirked. That's a yes. They didn't fall into each other. Not right away. Lauren was careful, respectful, observant. And Charles? Charles watched for the red flags this time. He listened to how she talked about her ex, how she treated waiters, how she reacted when he said, notice something. She never pushed, never overstepped, never joked about cheating or gaslit his instincts. And when she laughed, it wasn't the high-pitched cackle Willow used when she was trying to perform. It was quiet, genuine. He didn't trust easily, but he didn't close off either. He walked slowly, but he walked. And one day, after coffee and helping build a neighborhood bench together, she said, you seem like a man who's been through hell. Charles smiled gently. I've been through worse, he said. Later that evening, Charles sat on his apartment balcony, sipping a mug of tea instead of beer. The city lights blinked in the distance, muted by a soft fog. He didn't feel angry anymore, or betrayed, or broken. He felt clear, whole, stronger. He'd seen the worst of love, the kind that manipulates, mocks, and devours. Now, He wasn't chasing the best. He was just walking with eyes open. I'm not bitter. I'm just not blind anymore. Chapter 8. The final lesson. The air was heavy with salt and wind. The sea stretched wide and endless before him, dark blue with streaks of golden light rippling off the early evening sun. Waves lapped at the shore, not violently but steadily, like a drumbeat meant to remind a man of time, of motion, of change. Charles stood alone on the edge of the sand, jeans rolled up, boots in hand, his bare feet planted firmly in the cool grit. Each step he'd taken to get here felt like peeling away another layer of his past. This wasn't just a beach. This was his reckoning ground. In his right hand, he held a small black box. Familiar. Worn. The wedding ring sat inside, untouched since the day he took it off. The metal had dulled, but the weight of it still pressed against his palm like it was forged from regret. He exhaled deeply. The sea breeze caught the edges of his shirt, flapping them gently. No one else was around. No one to judge, to pity, to offer words he didn't ask for. Just the sea. And him. He opened the box and stared down at the ring. It's funny, he said aloud, voice rough with the weight of months gone by. This little thing right here, supposed to mean forever. He closed the box, opened it again. How stupid was I to believe it did? No, answer came from the waves. Just a soft hiss, like the sea whispering back. Not stupid, just human. The memories came uninvited. The wedding day. Her white dress fluttering in the breeze. Her hands trembling when he slid the ring onto her finger. How he believed every vow. How he thought forever actually meant something. How he thought loyalty was some kind of shield. His throat tightened, but he didn't cry. He had shed every tear months ago. Now there was only clarity. He walked forward into the surf, the water brushing his ankles, then his calves. You said you loved me, he said softly, as if she were standing beside him. You looked me in the eye and told me I was your safe place, your future, that you couldn't imagine life without me. He chuckled bitterly. But you didn't just imagine life without me. You built it behind my back. One lie at a time. A wave crashed gently against his knees, and he felt the pull of the undertow wrap around his legs like the past always trying to hold on. You didn't just cheat, he said. You celebrated it. Mocked me. Called me clueless. Said I was pathetic. That I'd never find out. His hands clenched. The box was still in his grip. He closed his eyes. Took a breath. But I did, he said. And that night, when I heard your voice through the speaker, something in me snapped. Not with rage. Not with hate. He opened his eyes and looked at the horizon. But with awakening. He stepped deeper into the sea now, the cold water reaching his thighs. The sun was dipping lower, casting an amber glow across his face. People think revenge is loud, he said. Explosive. Screaming, slamming doors, breaking things. He shook his head. But real revenge? Real justice? It's quiet. It's surgical. It's sending the truth into the world and letting it burn everything fake down to ash. He opened the box again and took the ring out, feeling its cold weight in his fingers. He turned it slowly between his thumb and forefinger. I could have hated you forever, he said to the ocean, to the sky, to her ghost that still tried to linger in his memory. But hate is just another leash, and I'm done being bound to anything that looks like you. He closed his fist around the ring and raised it up to eye level. They say love is blind, he whispered. I just wish I hadn't closed my eyes. His fingers loosened. The ring fell in a graceful arc, catching the last sliver of sunlight, then vanished beneath the surface. The water rippled once, then returned to stillness. It was gone. He stood there for a while, feeling the weight lift, not just from his hand, but from his chest. No more unfinished conversations. No more mental replays of betrayal. No more wondering if he wasn't enough. He was done carrying wounds that weren't his to keep. Back on the shore, Charles sat down on the sand, legs stretched out, arms behind him to brace against the soft slope of the dune. He watched the waves with a peace he hadn't known in years. He didn't regret loving her. That's what people always got wrong about healing. The goal wasn't to erase the love. It was to remember who you were before it broke you, and become someone stronger afterward. His phone buzzed beside him. One new message. Lauren, made your favorite. There's extra if you're still up for dinner. Charles smiled gently. She never rushed him, never asked for more than he could give. She simply showed up, with patience, with presence. He picked up the phone, thumbs moving slowly over the screen. Charles, I'll be there in 30. Just needed a moment. Her reply came back seconds later. Lauren, take all the time you need. I'll be here. He looked out over the ocean one more time. The water shimmered beneath the fading sun, endless and alive. Just like life. He stood up, brushed the sand from his jeans, and slipped his boots back on. As he walked away, he didn't look back, because there was nothing behind him worth chasing anymore. Only a lesson, etched in salt and silence. Never again. Now I see.